Welcome to The Critique. Today we're looking at a rebuttal, one defending Erica Kirk and Turning Point USA against some recent accusations from Candace Owens.
Right, about finances and grieving. It's a really fiery piece of commentary.
Okay, so let's jump right in. While all that passion is definitely there, the frequent use of derogatory name-calling really undermines the objective authority of the counter-arguments.
It really does. I mean, you've got dingbat, sycophants, lunatic.
Yeah.
It just turns what could be a forensic takedown into, a personal quarrel.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the weakness. You risk alienating any neutral listeners who are there for the facts, not the vitriol.
Exactly. You lose that sense of authority. So the suggestion is pretty clear. Adopt more of a show, don't tell approach to her incompetence.
Let the contradictions do the heavy lifting.
Let her own words serve as the indictment instead of, just adding insults.
For sure. So, for example, that whole thing about ice not melting at 30 degrees.
Right.
Instead of calling her a dingbat, you just present the meteorological fact. You let the audience make the connection themselves. It's so much more effective.
And it's the same with the fundraising fig. Just lose the phrase dingbat, learn it.
Yeah.
Put the claim of $250 million over a few months right next to the reality of the 10+ years of tax return. The contrast itself is the entire point.
It's devastating on its own. You don't need to add anything.
Okay, so that leads to the next point about evidence. The argument loses a lot of momentum when it shifts from verifiable data to a really subjective interpretational body.
Oh, absolutely. The section analyzing her relationship with Kanye West, it leans so heavily on these, pseudo-science indicators.
Like blinking?
How much she blinks, her eye movement, looking away, all to prove she's lying. And that's the real weakness here. It is just so much flimsier than the hard data you presented earlier.
It really dilutes the strength of the whole liar narrative you're trying to build.
It does. It feels like a stretch.
So the suggestion is to anchor that critique, the part about their relationship, in tangible evidence, or the lack of it, not facial expressions.
Exactly. Focus on what's verifiable. So instead of talking about how her eyelids are moving, you could point out that she stopped sharing recent text messages from him. That's a real change in behavior.
That's a concrete observation.
Apology to the Jewish community.
Highlighting that logical gap is way more powerful than analyzing a deadpan look.
So much more powerful. It's about words and actions, not speculation.
Which kind of brings us to our final point, and it's about the structure of the whole piece. It oscillates between financial disputes and these moral outrages.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
And it just scatters the listener's attention instead of building to a real condemnation.
Totally. The narrative jumps from the ice and weather comment to TPUSA finances, then over to Kanye, and then suddenly you're at this really heavy trauma bonding accusation.
Right. And the weakness there is that it stops the piece from building a single devastating case against her character. The financial argument, which is strong, actually distracts from the much more serious moral argument about the widow's grief.
You never get that crescendo. It just feels disjointed.
So the suggestion here is to group the arguments thematically.
Okay.
First, you handle all the professional or, hypocritical failing. The finances, the weather, the Kanye stuff.
And then you conclude with the moral failing.
Exactly. That way, you leave the audience with the strongest possible emotional impression.
So you'd consolidate that whole financial rebuttal, the $13.1 million donation, the 2012 to 2023 timeline, get all of that done with first before any of the social commentary.
You get it all out of the way, and then you save the analysis of her video attacking Erica Kirk's Zoom call for the absolute.
I see. You isolate that behavior attacking a widow just 5.5 days after her husband was assassinated, and you make that the climax of the piece.
You make it the climax instead of mixing it in with, lighter jabs about corporate calls or snow.
That would hit much, much harder.
So to recap, this is a fierce defense, but its impact is really being blunted by the name-calling and the scattered pacing.
Right. So to strengthen it, the key is to replace the personal insults with cold, hard facts. Let them speak for themselves.
And then remove that subjective body language stuff. Stick to tangible evidence like conflicting statements or the financial report.
And finally, just reorder the script. Separate the professional criticisms from the moral one and end on that powerful emotional beat.
We would definitely invite you to resubmit the work once those arguments have been tightened and restructured.
Yeah, we look forward to reading it.